And we're live.
Nice. Turn this off to make sure we don't get bothered. Close this here for a little bit so we're not distracted.
That's right. So, welcome everyone, and hello everyone, and welcome to another episode at the Cusp of Freedom, where we'll talk about why and how we become who we are, some of the challenges that we've straightened over, and what you can do in your daily life to make this world a better place. On this episode today, it's an honor to have a very special guest on this podcast, a good friend of mine, Alfredo Falcon. Thank you so much for taking this time to speak with us today. And on this podcast, we'll speak on how Alfredo became who he is, why and how he became who he is, so that somebody in the audience who sees themselves in Alfredo's shoes can have a little more inspiration and understand what it takes to get where he's at today. Without further ado, we'll jump straight into it. I'm your host, Marvin Tikio, and thank you so much for taking 20 to 30 minutes to listen to us today. So, Alfredo, who are you?
Who am I? Good question. So, first, thanks for having me here. I'm pretty excited, and maybe we get to the story of how we met and we got here, and that's pretty cool, I find. Because I think part of who I am, it's traveling and someone that it's because of life has seen a lot of of the world, and I think that's part of the things, and we'll get to that later too, of what makes the world a better place and what can make us better in a lot of ways. So I'm Venezuelan originally. We're in Colombia, in Medellin. I'm Venezuelan. I'm an engineer. I actually grew up in Venezuela. I was born and raised in Venezuela until I was 20 something years old. When I was almost 21, and then I moved to Miami because of the whole situation in Venezuela, and I went to finish my civil engineering studies. From Miami, it's been a long way. I became a civil engineer. I worked in structural engineering, designing bridges. Then I left to travel, and again we'll get into that later. And right now I'm working for this MEP engineering firm. It's international, and they sent me here to open an office here. So I'm the director of the engineering office here in Medellin.
Oh wow, that sounds pretty deep. Can you take us down? It seems like being in Venezuela and becoming a director of an engineering firm here in Colombia, that sounds like a very high trajectory to go through. Can you take us through some of the challenges you went through, just from being a Venezuelan and growing up in Venezuela? Like, what are some of the thoughts that you had? What are some of the limited beliefs that you had growing up, and how did you overcome those beliefs?
Yes. So I grew up in Venezuela, right? Venezuela, it used to be top country in Latin America. We're one of the top countries in the world. At one point, I believe the bolivar, the national currency, was more valued than the dollar. At one point, we're talking maybe 60 or 70 years ago. In Venezuela, they started going down. When I was born, when I was small, Venezuela was a very nice country to live in, and my family was nice. We weren't rich or anything, but we had a good living. Because everyone in Venezuela had a good living, honestly. Eventually, that started to come down a little bit. That created a lot of social issues, blah blah. Then came the president we're not going to name that messed things a little bit or a lot for everyone, and things became harder and harder. So when I was, let's say, when I was 15 years old, and I was starting to, you go out, you party, you want to meet your friends, blah blah. It was dangerous. So you didn't want to go out, like your parents didn't want you to go out, but you're 15 or 18 years old. You want to go out and meet people, and the girls, of course, and all that. So the first thing is you grow up with a little bit of, you're a little scared. You're used to risk, because every time you go out, you're literally risking your life, because people get killed. In Venezuela, at one point, we were getting killed for anything. So you get used to living with risk, a little bit of fear. You feel limited, because the country limits you in many ways. So we were like in this little bubble thing. I don't know. It was weird, but at the same time, it was my comfort zone. I was in my country. I knew a lot of people. Like Caracas is a big city, but with a feeling of a small town. Like everyone knows each other. So I was very comfortable. when I left, when I was 21 years old, my family decided that we wanted to leave. My younger brother got accepted in school in high school in the U.S. In high school that was my dad wanted him to go to. So they left first, and I left to Miami. And when I got there, I realized that I literally got out of my comfort zone. So that for me was the first big change in my life in terms of growing, right? It was the beginning of this trajectory that brought me here. Because in my mind, I always, back when I was a kid, because of the issues in Venezuela, we lived in France for a few months, and I picked up French. I studied there in school. I was a little kid. But, I always had this international thing, and my family has Italian, we come from Italian descent on one side. So I've always had, this influence, but I've always been in my bubble. So I moved to Miami. I had to basically start over. I had some friends because of Venezuelans living, a lot of people left. So there's Venezuelans everywhere. I had a lot of friends in Miami. Not a lot, but I had a few friends in Miami. So that was good, but I didn't know anything. I spoke English, but I had never written an essay in my life. So I had to start over in that sense and understand. In Spanish, I'm really good with words. Like I know how to communicate. In English, that was a little harder. So for me, that was a challenge. And all those challenges of not knowing the city, not knowing how it worked, the culture I was familiar with, but it's different.
Yeah.
That in me woke up something that I wanna get there. Like I wanna be able to communicate in English, even if it's with this accent. I wanna communicate, as if I was communicating in Spanish, like with words. I can write a full essay. I wanted to get there, and I did I did school. I always I aimed for the best grades I could get, and I was involved in extracurriculars, and I was part of the chapter of engineering. Like we have the American Society of Civil Engineers, we had the American Concrete Institute. Like I was involved in all that, and I was getting exposure. And then from there, it's what I told you. I went into doing structural engineering, which at that point was like the hardest challenge when you come out of civil engineering. Structural engineering, and some other engineers might say otherwise, but it's the hardest part, doing bridges. So I got into the company I wanted, and I was the first person without a master's that could get it. Like I was always striving for that. And almost 2 years into there, I was like, okay, it's been fun, but I want to do something else. I've been always very outgoing. I wanted to meet people and do things, and I loved my job. I always say I'm an engineering nerd. But it was all day, just cranking numbers in the computer without a lot of communication or feeling that you're helping someone else.
Yeah.
So from there, I told you, my family, when we left, we got scattered around the world. I have my sister in France, my mom is in Italy. At that point, my brother was in college, and I was living with my dad in Miami. And then he had to leave because of his visa and his paper and all that, immigration issues. So he left. He had to leave for a couple of years only. So when he left, he was going to Europe, and at that point I had resigned. I had left my job without another job. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I know I didn't want to continue just doing engineering. So my dad was about to leave, and I was like, okay, I'll go with my dad. I'll go. He was going to Europe to be with my sister, and I said, okay, I'll go to Europe, then go visit my mom in Italy, visit some friends in Spain. And I feel that that was my second big inflection point of growth. Because I want I grew up in Venezuela, I moved to Miami, it was a challenge, blah blah blah. I think I conquered that
journey.
Yeah, that journey, but I still was lacking a lot, which is there's a big world out there.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
The story, and this is where it gets interesting, is I left, before leaving, I contacted one of my former employers and said, hey, I'm looking for a job, not here, but I'm looking for a job. I want this, and that. I speak some French, I speak English, Spanish. I want something that I meet people. I like construction, something more, blah, blah. I put in everything I wanted, and I never thought it was going to happen. But I was just, throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I literally talked to this guy, and I left to Europe. And the guy, we were, of course, packing everything. I left everything in my car. I didn't have a place because I was living with my dad. So I left everything in my car in Miami. I left, and the guy emails me, hey, Alfredo, remember to send me your resume. I have a friend that might be interested. I was like, okay. So I send him my resume. Once I'm there, I go, I see my mom, blah, blah, I come back to France. And my plan was to go to Spain and then come back to the US to find a job, right? When I'm in France, this guy calls me or emails me, hey, I got your resume from so-and-so. Do you want to talk? So we do. We talk. Blah blah. The guy explains everything, and it's this international company that I work for now. And the guy says, "Hey, you're in France. One of the founders of the company is in France too. Is in Paris. Can you meet him?" So we get in contact. We start talking. Yeah, we'll meet. I think it was on Tuesday. He said, "No, yeah, we'll meet on Tuesday. Blah blah. This time it was like 12." So the guy at 11 says, "Hey, this is running long." At 11:50, "Hey, I'm not gonna make it at 12. Let's meet at 1. At 1, "Hey, I'm not gonna make it. Let's meet at 2, or let's meet at 1:30." And then he called me and said, "Hey, I have a flight at 4. I need to be at the airport at 2. Can we meet at the airport at 3 p.m.?" This is a guy I've never met. French guy. We're speaking French. I speak some French, but I didn't have the professional French in me just yet. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't know you, but yeah, I'll go to some random airport and meet you, randomly. So I go to this airport and find, the way things work out, it's amazing. Like I get there, I had no Wi-Fi. I was trying to connect to Wi-Fi because I didn't have, my cell phone in Paris didn't work. And as I'm connecting, I see his name on the Wi-Fi wireless options because he's sitting right there. So it was oh dude, he's right there. I go, we meet, we talk, blah blah, we hit it off. And by the end of the meeting, he's like, "Okay, now can you come to Morocco this Sunday? You fly on Sunday and into from Paris to Morocco, and you stay there a week, and then Friday you go back. So you see the operation we have going on, so you meet the people, so we can meet you a little bit better, blah blah." And again, I've never met this guy before.
Yeah.
But at that point, as I told you, I was in this growth, in this moment in my life where I was discovering things and growing in this next chapter. And to make it short, I ended up going to Morocco. I met, I've never been in Africa before that, so I went to Morocco. It was awesome. I met these people, blah blah. Then they made me an offer, and I came back to the U.S. to start with them.
Wow.
From there, I spent some time in the U.S. Then I left to Barcelona in Spain for a little bit, where we have the admin headquarters. I was doing a lot of. I went there to sit there for a while, but I was like a training kind of thing because then they sent me here to open this office in Medellin.
Wow, that's one hell of a story, bro. And you made it sound so. So easy. I picked up a couple things from what you just said, and I think having that adaptivity mindset early on in Venezuela and being able to take risks really helped you when you got to Miami and you decided, man, I love engineering, but I also love speaking with people, and because I'm not doing that with my life, I'm gonna take the risk to do what I love better. And I think that's where a lot of your opportunities spotted from. That was the lesson to be learned right there. And
it's a cliche, but every time you get out of your comfort zone, because you're aiming at something better, it's not just I want to quit because I saw this podcast and the guy quit. No, it's because I have a plan, or I have not a plan. You don't have to have a plan. I didn't have a plan. You have an idea of what you want to do. You have a passion that you want to pursue.
That is so deep.
That every time I followed my passion and got out of my comfort zone, going to Morocco, starting with this company that, again, when I started was my boss and I in Miami, that's it. And we're now 20 people, a company. Again, and we're poised to grow. We have 2 people starting next week. We're getting a new office, so we're going to grow bigger. Every time I've gotten out, believing in the process, believing in what I want to do, and following my passion, it has worked out every single time.
Wow.
Every single time.
That's some very deep advice. I would definitely highly recommend people to listen and not just hear us. So I guess why did you choose civil engineering? What was that drive that you had in you?
So that's what, since I was a little kid, I was always good in math. It just came naturally. I'm not a genius by no means, but it was the easiest thing that I could do out of everything in school. I was always good at it, it just worked out fine. And then when I was 14, 15 years old, for me that time when you're 15 years old is very critical in your in the person you're gonna become. Yeah. It's not if you're good at that time you're gonna be good forever. You're bad, no, but it's good. You get you pick up a lot of things. And I had this physics professor in Venezuela. It's not like in the U.S. In the U.S. you kind of pick some classes, other classes you have to take them. In Venezuela, it's the same curriculum for everyone until you're on your second to last and last year, where people are separated through humanities or science. People that want to take either engineering or
economics.
Whatever is science, they go that way. Humanities, if you want to be a lawyer or study anything with humanities, you go the other route, and that changes a little. But anyway, and when I was like 14 or 15 years old, I had this physics professor. The guy is amazing. He's one of my inspirations. And the guy is this type of like crazy professor. He came the first day, he was throwing things around, talking about physics and this and that, and I loved it. And at one point, I wanted to become a physicist. And then when I was about to graduate, I had no idea what to do. My dad is a lawyer. I wanted to do law. My mom is an economist. I wanted to study economics because I was good with math. And I didn't find something in the middle, but I also like physics. And I was like, okay, I'll study civil engineering. Even if I don't know if I want to be a civil engineer, I'll do it because I like it. Again, following my passion of what I was good at, what I liked, and it turned out to be good. Like, I love it nowadays.
Wow.
I'm very happy.
That's pretty tough. That's really tough. And would you say, you mentioned that you traveled quite a bit when you were younger. Would you say that traveling at an early age widened your perspective a little bit? Like the world is bigger than what it is?
Of course.
The possibilities are limitless type of deal?
So let's get into deeper stuff, right? You're talking about make the world better. I think one of the traits that help us be better and make the world a better place, it's compassion. Okay.
That's very deep.
Dalai Lama always talked about compassion, and my dad always talked about him talking about compassion. And compassion is key. And compassion is understanding the other person, right? You have your issues, you have your background, you have your aspirations, your passions, your thing, and I have mine. And they're probably they probably overlap some places, some other not. Like you have a background that I don't know, you have lived something in your life that I haven't lived, and that's only you and me. We're only two people in this room, right? What if you want to be a good person, you want to have compassion, you need to try to put yourself on the other person's shoes and try to understand where they come from and what they want and why they think that way. And if they do something that you don't like, maybe they didn't do it on purpose, maybe they thought it was fine, or maybe they came from an education where that's okay. Like it's different. So going back to traveling, it helps you see different cultures, understand different cultures, see that everyone is like you, right? The fact that you were born in one town and you moved to a town next to that and that's it does not mean that everyone thinks like your birth town and the one you're living now, right? The world is completely different.
Yeah.
And when you travel and you see that and you see, okay, buildings here are made different than in Miami, which are different than the ones in Boston, that are different than whatever, it's because every space has their own way of doing things and thinking about that. So when you travel, you get a lot of that. You see, and then I can say, okay, I'm not. Nowadays, people are like, oh, you're taking their culture. No, I'm not taking their culture. I understand where they come from. I know I'm not pretending to be them, but I understand what they want, what they're thinking, and that makes me better, or that could make me better in the sense that you can,
have a better perspective.
Correct, because you can put yourself in their shoes.
Nice. I think that's a very like wise thing to say too. But yeah, so basically, perspective helps you make better decisions and helps you see the world through through more truth, like as it is, rather than your own narrow perspective.
And then traveling for me that's a deep part of it, which it's fundamental. But other than that, you get to meet people, you get to see different places, you get to eat different food. Like you grow in so many ways. It's funny when you understand things and you start. And for me, like traveling, I always tell people like, plan a trip. That's always fun. Like plan a trip from here in 2 months, and you'll have something forward to look at. And then you go there and you're like, oh, this is so cool. This is different. Maybe you go and you don't like it. Like it might suck the place where you're going, but at least you don't like it, why you don't like it, or why it looks like. Or when you come to third world countries like Venezuela or developing countries, you understand better. Like, oh wow, they don't have it as easy as we have. And in the U.S., it's funny when like as an immigrant, you see stuff in the U.S. that people, complain about, and you're like, dude, you have no idea what you have. Like, you have it so good. Don't complain about stuff. Just try to make things better. Just do your little thing.
I totally agree. Don't you think that one of the reasons why it's harder for people in developing countries, I think you have a very unique mindset, but I think you're a prime example of how feasible it can be to come from such a hard background and still make it out, on top. And I believe that your story is definitely going to inspire a lot of people that think they have it hard, to show them that it's possible. And I think going back to like showing compassion for people, and being able to gain the perspective to show the compassion for one another. Don't you think that one of the reasons why people find it hard to show compassion is because we're all self-interested, right? And the only difference is that some people have self-interest in the best of others rather than themselves. And do you think that there's power in being self-interested in the best of others rather than yourself?
That's yes. So yes, it's okay. I went to a Catholic school, and we had a priest that he was old wise man, and one time he pulled up a bunch of them. He was talking about some stuff, and the only thing he spoke for like an hour, and the only thing I remember he said, you can get to good via either being selfish or being interested in the rest. Right? You get to the same point if you're smart. Like if you're really looking at it like smart, like analytical way, putting your heart aside, say I only care about myself or I only care about others. Most of the time, you get to the same result, which is if I only care about myself, right, and I want to live a good life, I want to make sure that this country or wherever the town I'm in, the city, whatever, it's clean. It works out, things work out well. People are nice, so you don't throw things. Even if you're, I'm smoking a cigarette, for example. If you throw it out right there, you're hurting yourself. Sure, you're hurting others and the city and all that. But if you think about it very selfishly, you're hurting yourself because now your city is going to be a dump.
Yeah.
Right? If you're selfish, you say, no, I'm going to throw this in the trash. And I'm putting a simple example you would probably tell a kid, a 5-year-old. But it's the same thing. And if you think, oh, I want to do good by others, you throw the trash in the trash can. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So that same thing applies everywhere. If you are in the line in the airport, you want to cut off.
That is so true.
If you want to cut off, no, you don't cut off because you're selfish. You want to get there like soon. You stay in your line so you don't create a mess. Driving is the best example. Traffic, it's created most of the time, and we studied this in civil engineering. Where in a car like cuts off another one, this car then stops, like suddenly stops because he gets scared.
Yeah.
The one behind suddenly stops. The one behind suddenly stops, and that's what creates traffic. Sometimes you're going through traffic, and after the bumper to bumper passes, you're like, why did this happen? If there's nothing, there's no crash, there's no nothing, it's because of something like that. So if you're a good person, say, I want to get there fast, I'm not going to create traffic because I want to get there fast, you're just going to be a better person.
So you're telling me that we could make this world a better place if everybody just thought to themselves that like, I don't want to create traffic or I don't want to create some kind of, and everybody would just flow.
Let me put it in short and simple. If I want to I'm gonna make of the world a better place because I want to live in a better place. That's a selfish way of looking at it. You can say it other way. You can be, Mother Teresa and say, I want to make a better place for others so people are happy, blah, 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 which I agree 100%. But you can also say, I want to make a better place so I can have a better place to live in. Yeah. I'm not going to throw trash in the ground because I don't want to find trash in the ground. I want this place smelling bad in a couple of days.
That's true. That's very true.
So by being selfish, by wanting the best thing for you is that everything works out well.
It's the best for everybody.
It's the best for everyone. Because when you look, I'm not going to talk about other countries, not mine, so people don't get offended. In my country, because people don't see that you have to love yourself, in this case your country, and they feel like, oh, whatever, if I steal some money here or there, if I'm corrupt, or if I do this or that, whatever, nothing's going to happen. No, yeah, of course things are going to happen. Because what good do you have with all the money that you stole if your country sucks?
Yeah.
And I've seen this in Venezuela. The government people, they cannot leave the country because they have sanctions, and if they go out, they'll probably go to jail somewhere in the world. So they can't leave the country. And they have made the country a mess, and now they have to live in it. So it's like, why make it a mess if you have to live in it? Like, if you want the best for you, you want the best for the place you live in.
That's true. That is so deep too. Wow. I don't know. I can't add anything on that. So, I guess, do you think that there's hope? I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that, I mean, we can speak about this in a fairy tale type of manner.
Yeah.
But we know the reality of things, right? Like, we know that people know what's best for themselves, and there's obviously some kind of something that's keeping people from being the best that they can be. Whether it's trauma, them not being able to deal with their trauma, whether it's like the the environment they grow up in, the education they get from their parents, and not being able to like see the world through like their own perspective more than others. I mean, we can list it on and on, but do you think, or even whether it's like social media, people miss the opportunity to connect with one another because they stay scrolling on like social media. I mean, there's like endless amounts of like, there's endless amounts of like covers on top of like the problems that we have in our world. But do you think that there's hope for things to get better, or
I mean, I was reading the other day something that said, we like to look at bad news, and that's why we get a lot of them, because for some reason the human like wants that. I don't know if it's a drama or whatever. I think the world is not a bad place. I think there's bad stuff happening, but in the course of history, there was always bad stuff. You know? So I do think that the world is better now than it was, I don't know, 100 years ago or 50 years ago. I do think technology is helping. I do think social media is helping. Like, we were connected through so after we met in person through social media. And I think it's not all bad. I know what you mean. I know what you mean is like, people are getting more selfish and more self-centered, and people are getting the drama, and they're getting offended by everything, or people are not letting other people be. Like, I know what you mean, and I do think the world is getting better, and it will get better. If you see, people are more conscious about things like I don't know, like environment, or doing good by others, or meeting people. Like, I do think things are getting better.
They're getting better.
We are always gonna get the bullies on social media, and we're always gonna have social media because it's a capitalist system, which I personally like, but it's part of its nature. You're always, Facebook, Instagram, the social medias, or TikTok. They're always gonna try to get your attention because that brings money to them.
Yeah.
So it's always gonna be there, but I don't think we're gonna be worse. We just have to learn. And yes, what you're saying, parents need to teach their kids, and we all have trauma, and we all have to work with it. And nowadays, one of the things that makes this time better is that we have access to the internet. That you have. I mean, you're not gonna self-diagnose yourself. I do not recommend that, but you do have access to a lot of stuff on the internet, including a psychiatrist. Let's say you're a 15-year-old and you don't want to tell your mom. Like, there are ways to finding things nowadays. Like, there's a lot of information. You could email someone. You could email a professor. Like, there are things that you didn't have before.
Wow, that's pretty deep. So for anyone going through anything out there thinking that they don't have a way out,
you always have a way out.
Google is your best friend.
No, I guess not necessarily Google, but you can communicate with so many people, and you can read about things. You can read about history, stories about people that's not having a good day, and it's not that you're happy that they're not having a good day, but it makes you like, okay, I'm not the only one going through this. And sometimes I've had bad moments. I've read things that I'm like, okay, it's good to know that I'm not alone in this. It's good to know that other people are suffering, and I like financial, personal finance a lot. And there's a program I watch, and the guy always says, a lot of people are going through what you're going. If you're in debt, if you're having a bad time, if you got fired, if you don't have money, whatever it is, there's a lot of people who are going through what you're going, and a lot of people that went through that and came out. So that gives you some light.
So finding the right people, specifically those that went through it and came out to talk to, can be very helpful to overcoming whatever you're going through.
No, learning from best practices. That's what we get. That's what we get from all this connection that you can learn from people that did it better or did it already, and you can do it like them
or better.
Yeah,
that's tough. Yeah, you're a wise guy, Alfredo. Oh my God, good advice today. Is there any habit that you would recommend one can do daily or do on a consistent basis to better their perspective or to better their way of?
I mean, daily. Overall, I would invite you to travel. Last time I read, something said that only 40% of Americans have a passport.
I think it's 1/3.
1/3?
Yeah, 1/3.
That have or don't have?
That have. 2/3 don't have.
Okay, 66% don't have. So that's tough. The first thing is go get your passport. No, I mean, seriously, like, travel, even if it's not internationally, at least. But even if even within the United States, it's not the same. Again, as I said, Miami, it's very different from the rest of the world. So if you're from the rest of the U.S., so if you're anywhere in the U.S. but Miami, go to Miami and see how it is. You get a lot of the Latino culture of the whatever. So that's nice. But definitely travel is one thing. That's not a daily habit, but plan, like focus your energy a little bit on it. You might not like it, maybe you don't like airplanes, but try it once, right? Then daily, you know, I guess I'm not doing a lot of that lately, but reading is really good. Reading, I personally like a lot personal biographies.
Okay.
Like autobiographies. I like that a lot. And anything that you like, it's good. Like learning from others. That's one thing that helps. Talking to people, being open, going out of your comfort zone. Like when we met, you know, I was bringing some people from the office to this event, to this language interchange, and they were so like afraid, they didn't know, and I was like, no, let's do it. And you know, they went, they had a great time. We met, like putting yourself out there. It always helps. When you want to say no, try to say yes. If you know, as long as it's something that's, you know, healthy, but it's gonna help. But say yes. Like go out there and you know, see what your town, your city, your community has to offer. Talk to people. Tell them about what you're doing and ask them what they are doing. That's how we got here.
Yeah, that's how we got here.
So that always helps. That always helps. And you always learn something from someone. And then you go and you knock doors, and some of them will not open, some of them will.
Oh, wow, that's very deep advice. Do you have any advice for anyone that's going to take this advice to travel more? Like some of the challenges that they might face if they start traveling.
So if you have never traveled and you're looking into it, I mean, if you speak other languages, then never mind. But if you don't, I would first time traveling, I would try to go somewhere that it's good for foreigners, right? Either you go to some island in the Caribbean that speaks some English, or you get a little because it's gonna be a lot of new. Plane, the airport, you know, getting there, immigration, and like a lot of things. It's going to be a lot out of your comfort zone. If you want to go all in, awesome. If not, at least have the language as something that helps you. Or go to London, to the UK. So you have your language. It's going to be a different culture, so you're going to learn a lot. But you're gonna feel at least the language is not going to be an issue. At least you're going to be able to communicate and meet people.
That's right.
The advantage for people in the US is English is almost everyone in the world speaks English. So you guys have that advantage. I do recommend learning another language. I think that's part of growth and your mind. Trying to learn languages is awesome. I'm personally, I want to learn Italian, for example.
You already know like 4 languages though. Right?
No, I know Spanish, my language, English, and some French. But I want to get Italian in there because it's always good to learn more. So again, going back to travel, go to some place. If not, I mean, if you want to try something else or you speak some Spanish, you just make sure you research the place a little bit. You know where you're going, and you have not low expectations, but your expectation should be to see a lot, right? Yeah. Not to like, oh, I want to go there, have the best time partying. You might go there and there might not be good parties, right? So, or I want to see all the beautiful views. It might rain every day that you're there. So like, just be flexible when you're traveling. Be flexible. Be open to seeing a little bit of everything, because and do your research. I personally like, where am I going and what I'm going to see and where I want to eat, and I Google the best restaurants or best places to go, and
Wow, that's some really, really good advice. And okay, so I think we've covered everything. We've covered why and how you got here. We've covered some really great philosophy on how we can make this world a better place, and what you can do to travel and with sanity. Do you have any last advice for anyone watching this? Any like last thing that they can take with them?
Friends, viewers, honestly, I guess my best advice: life is some deep stuff. When you talk about talking about life, everyone like grabs into okay, what is he gonna say? No, listen. Like for me, this is my advice. Life is about balance, right? If you want to be the richest person, or you want to be the best at whatever, or the best dad, or sometimes you don't get to do everything, right? And then we were talking about the other day on the example about Elon Musk. Maybe he's the greatest at this, but he might not be the best dad or the best husband, or because when you're the best at one thing, you cannot be the best at everything else. Or you might you sacrifice other stuff. So unless you have a great gift and you're the best chess player, I don't know. Life for me it's about balance. So try to balance things out, and to get a good balance, you need to be a hardworking person. Some people like to work more hours than others. Some of us are more workaholics than others. But try to balance. If you're more of a workaholic, try to remember that you are a workaholic, and you have to balance that out with everything else. So try to be good at work. When you're at work, focus on work. Like, try to be better, try to learn. But when you're at home, try to be a better husband, a better kid, a better son, mother, whatever it is that you are. Try to be better, and try to keep a balance on everything. And for that, you need, I think, education is key. And I don't mean like, oh, go to university, which I think is important, but like read, learn languages, all that. Like, keep reading stuff, not only like the news or social media. Like, try to get some other stuff into your head and like into your system. Personal finance is key. We do not like appreciate how important is personal finance, because life is not about money.
Yeah. But
money impacts a lot of your life.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you want to make sure you have your personal finance in order. It's not a matter about how much money you make. It's a matter of how you spend it and how you administer it and where you focus your energy on. Do exercise, eat healthy. You know, that doesn't mean you have to be the healthiest person. It means you have to eat healthy. Maybe you go eat a burger, you eat ice cream, you go out. It's fine. But like overall, the balance of how you eat, how you work, how you spend your money, it all has to be balanced. It all has to be, you know.
That's so deep. Yes, sir, bro. Man, that was such great advice, and I feel so blessed to have you on this podcast. I think you've given an incredible story and wonderful advice today.
Again, thanks for having me.
And it's been an immense pleasure. I hope maybe one day we get in like a round 2 or episode 2 or something. I don't know.
A deeper version.
Like a deeper version of this. Yeah. But it's been an immense pleasure, Alfredo, and thank you so much.
Thank you for
taking the time. And
thank you, man. Thank you, guys.
Wow. I don't know how long that was.
Probably 40 minutes.
Wow, it's pretty long. 36 minutes. I try to keep it short, like 20, 30 minutes. You went over.
Dude, my brother, I told you, he has some card, like he has like a YouTube channel. He has 2 actually, and one is about interviewing people in Spanish. And what he does is he puts a timer, which helps him a lot on his computer.
Yeah.
To guide you, like you're not gonna stop talking, no. But you have an idea where you're going. And he with